This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to call this meeting of November the 12th, Madison County Commissioners to order. If you would, please stand with me for the invocation of Commissioner Martin and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads. I'm grateful, Heavenly Father, once again, we come before you this morning with thanksgiving in our heart, thanking you for this beautiful day. We ask, Heavenly Father, you bless everyone that's in attendance at this meeting in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, all five commissioners are present, as well as county manager, county attorney, and county clerk. Moving to the adoption of the agenda, I have one thing that I would like to add on to unfinished business and discussing on item number 2, discussion of the roof at the Ag Center and the continuing leaks. And, I have Mr. Rick Anderson here, and he's going to bring us up to speed on that. Anything else on the agenda?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I need to bring back up the piece of equipment, the Kubota, that you approved for solid waste at the previous meeting. They had submitted the wrong quote to the solid waste department for the machine that they actually wanted. So I need to bring that back up for approval with a different price.
Okay, we'll put that on unfinished business number 3. Okay, do we have any more additions or deletions from the agenda?
Motion to adopt, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Kelly. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carries 5-0. At this time, we will open up the floor for petitions from the public. We will open up the phone lines first. If you have a need to petition the board, please state your name, and so we can make a record of it, and we will give you the floor. Do we have anyone on phone that would like to speak? Once again, adoption, petition from the public on the phone. Do we have anyone that would like to speak? Hearing none, we will move to the in-person petitions, and at this time I have Ms. Bobby Brio that's going to address the board briefly and introduce someone to us.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be with you, and an equal pleasure to introduce to you our new Executive Director for the Chamber of Commerce and our new Administrator for TDC. She is filling 2 positions. We feel she's so capable and so confident that she can do that, probably not with ease because we'll be pretty demanding, but she can do it certainly with great capability. So I'm going to introduce to you Marlene Squires Swanson, who joined us last week. Marlene?
Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As she said, my name is Marlene Squires Swanson. I live in Tallahassee currently, but will be a Madison resident as of the end of December. We are, I should say, I'm from originally Waukesha, Wisconsin, and have moved all over the country and have held several different positions, primarily in media and marketing. My background is varied. I most recently was Senior Vice President and Chief Brand Officer for Noise Agency in Sanibel, helping advise their clients on how to market during COVID. Additionally, just prior to that, I was with Visit Florida for almost 6 years as their Director of Global Media and Marketing. I have worked in a number of major retailers, including Sears, Shopko stores, Pep Boys, you name it, and then all in key media and marketing positions. So I held the position of Vice President with NSA Media in Chicago for 9 years, and prior to that worked on creative for Sears and so on. So I am thrilled to be here in Madison, and I love to help things grow, and that's my intention.
Good. We're glad to have you, Marlene.
Thank you so much.
I sit on the TDC board, and your credentials spoke well for you.
Thank
your,
you.
Your past and your experience, so we're proud to have you.
Welcome aboard.
I sit on the Chamber Board, as you know. I had the pleasure of meeting you earlier this week, and very impressed, and just delighted to have you on board. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, I'm going to call on Sherlyn Pickles. She has another introduction to make today.
Yes, as you know, we have hired our Veteran Service Officer position. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Alvin Swilly, who is our new Vet Service Officer for both Madison and Jefferson counties. We still have our interlocal agreement with Jefferson County, and he's keeping the same schedule that Mr. Bradley had with Jefferson, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm gonna make it brief. I know you got other judges to get to. I'll just let you know it's an honor and a pleasure to be the Veterans Service Officer. It's not a job for me, it's a mission. Make sure all the veterans, as well as their family members, know about their disabilities, from the local, from the state to the federal. So I'm here, I'm honored, I'm ready to work, I'm working now. Matter of fact, I got an appointment coming back, so if you need me, I'm always available. Like she said, I'm Jefferson County on Tuesday and Wednesday, and Monday, Thursday, Friday, I'm here. So, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Welcome aboard, Mr. Willis. We appreciate you.
Thank you for your
If you
service.
need us, please reach out.
I definitely will, Mr. Paul.
Thank you. All right. Okay, that concludes our petitions from the public. We have the approval of the minutes from October the 28th.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 5-0. At this time, we'll move to our constitutional officers report. Sheriff, do you have anything?
Nothing today, Mr.
Okay. Seeing no more constitutional, we'll move on to our consent agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Davis to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Here's 5-0. All right, we're going to move into our unfinished business. And this is a review for the approved procedures for subdivisions for Madison County to maintain private roads. I'm going to turn this over to our county attorney, Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. In the packet, there are two documents. One is the initial MSBU application packet in a clean form, and the other is the same document but in a red line form. At the last meeting, we had reviewed this document. You all had instructed me to make certain changes to it and bring it back. That's what we've done. I'd like to look, if we can, at the red line document and kind of show you what we did. If you'll look at step 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 bullet points down, it used to say the step 1 was you had to get the signatures of no fewer than 10% of the owners. We've changed that at your direction to 25%. The requirement for a title commitment has been moved from step 1 to number 3 under step 4. So the next page, which would come right before the board would notice an ordinance on this if you decided to take it that far. And then instead of a fee, what we did was, if you look on the second page, on number 3, this is under step 3, number 3. It says the staff, once they receive a petition with the 25% of the property owners, staff will prepare an estimate of the cost to be incurred by the county, including engineering, finance, legal, all of that. They'll give that estimate to the applicant, and then the next step is, upon the applicant paying the estimated cost, the staff prepares a petition, sends it out. That petition has a description of the project, the services to be provided, and an estimate of the proposed assessment rates. It'd be very difficult to get an exact figure, but you can give them an estimate or give them a range or something, which I think is what people need. And then after that, we move, as we said, if you get the 60% of the listed owners, then we move down into step 4 and paragraph 3 of that, and now that's where the title insurance commitment comes. And then you, once we get that, we conduct a public hearing on the ordinance, and you all decide whether or not to do it. So that's, I think we've encapsulated the changes that you all instructed, and I think if you're satisfied with these procedures, I think you could move to adopt them. These aren't ordinances; these are just a guideline for people who want to go through that process and try to seek to have the county either take over maintenance on the roads or just improve the roads, or whatever they want to do.
One of my questions is, so this they can determine when they ask or fill out this form, whether it's an improvement, a one-time improvement, or every 2 months, or 3 months, or 100%.
I think you could go the entire gambit. I think you could go on the one side, it would be take over the roads entirely and make them true county roads, and on the other end of the spectrum would be a one-time thing that you come in and do certain work, and and then they're done. So, and I think they can ask for anything in between, and regardless of what they ask for, this board may decide you're not interested in doing that, you want to do it differently. Like, they may ask you to take over the roads, and y'all say, well, we'd maybe be interested in doing it once or twice to help out, but we're not interested in taking them over.
Mr. Hill, guys.
Yes, sir.
Tony, could I ask you a quick question? Where does the actual cost of the construction come in?
Well, if the ordinance that they're talking about would be a special assessment ordinance. So what you have to do is you borrow the money from a lender, and then you use the special assessment proceeds to pay that back. Unless it was a reasonably, inexpensive fix, then I suppose the county could just float it until the special assessment proceeds.
I'm just wondering, like, say they decide to go with a full-blown roadway, where does the cost, don't you have to get the cost of construction, design, testing, all that kind of thing to include in the assessment?
You have to, yes, and so what you do is the estimate that we're gonna send out, we give them probably a range. It would say, this is gonna be the cost of the construction. And then from that cost of construction, you figure out what's it gonna cost to borrow the money, what's the payment gonna be, well, that's gonna be your assessment. And so all of that is what goes out to the property owners, where they decide whether or not to sign off. And then once that's done, then you gotta do final plans where you figure out the exact cost and the engineering, all of that, and all that would have to go out, but what we're giving you is an estimate, until you actually sit down and do all of the final drawings, you can't.
So the actual assessment could change depending on what
what I would anticipate is the number that you send them is probably gonna be a range. It's probably gonna be the assessment on your property will probably fall between X and Y.
Gotcha.
Per year, for however long it takes to pay back.
Chair, I have a question. Tom, I realize we got all these steps here in place, but would it be helpful if we develop an application?
It probably would, and Swanee did that. Now, I think if you all are satisfied with the steps, I think you can have the county manager just prepare an application form, or you all can prepare it yourselves, however you would like to do it.
Okay, and you answered my other concern about the financing, because as I understand the ad valorem tax process, it only comes out once a year.
That's right.
And if this application that goes through and somebody does leg work and paperwork and all that good stuff, we got to come up with some kind of funds at a certain point in time to make this happen.
Yeah, you would borrow that from a lender and then use the special assessment proceeds to pay that back.
That's a question I want to ask. That would come out of special assessment. I heard you say that. Now, all right, hypothetical. If, for instance, 1 year there was a reserve left in, say, the 5th and 6th cent gas tax that we last year we just paved 9 roads and we had a little bit left over, not much, but I mean, theoretically, could that be used on something like this, or does it need to come out of the special assessment?
I guess the question is, would you have the discretion to do that?
Yes, I guess that's what.
Yeah, and I think if the county took over, the gas tax has to be used on the county road system.
Right.
So if the county took ownership of the
Mhm.
roads and they were going to become county roads, I think
They
you probably
could.
would have that
But
discretion.
if it's not gonna be taken over by the county, then the answer
You
would probably
probably
be no.
would not.
Okay, that's sort of where I thought, but I wanted that clarified. Okay.
Any more discussion?
Move to adopt.
Motion made by Commissioner Kelly to adopt these procedures and move forward. Second. Second by Commissioner Davis. Any discussion?
Just if I could, give y'all a prime example. A couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I believe it was Robinwood EMS. It's county maintained up to the top of the hill, we paved it. And then past that's private, all the way back around, back to 90 again. 2 or 3 weeks ago, EMS went in there and could not get through to where they needed to go. They had to call the fire department, run and pull them out of there, go in and do what they needed to do. This is a prime example of why I've been trying to get this stuff done here. For some of these roads that are becoming impassable to even our emergency services people can't go and do what they need to do. And I know recently, we allowed the county to go in to work on a road because it was an emergency situation. And I think y'all need to look at Robinwood in the same way. That's why I've been trying to get some of this stuff done, so we can go in and get this job, these roads passable for our emergency services people.
Well, I would echo, Commissioner Davis's remarks of, even though there is a way into Pine Ridge, there's only one way in and one way out of there. And, the day's gonna come when we're gonna have emergency services that needs to get somewhere in on that east end, and they're not gonna be able to get there. They can't go up and down, or down it. So.
I think,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Somebody have something in the audience? Okay, if this is approved, I think the county manager will need some time to come up with the application process.
Sure.
So when do we want it to be effective?
I mean, I think it could be effective today on passage. I mean,
Yeah.
but as far as they can still petition us, with an intent.
It'll be a work in progress.
Right.
So if we can accept it and put it in process today.
Right, and I've received an email already, concerning, private roads, and I would hate for her to be bombarded with people coming in, when can I get this done, or when can I get it done?
I agree that it's effective now. I don't know, and I guess my question is kind of look at this county manager, what kind of time frame do you think you need?
Well, everything references an application in here, and right now there is no application. So
Well, that's right.
unless you just want to adopt Swanee's. If not, then the one's got to be developed, because I don't remember offhand if Swanee's had the gamut of, hey, this is one time, or full-blown county take it over, and in between, and we'll need to figure out the language on those choices for people to check and stuff like that.
Do we have a copy of Swanee's application?
We do. Mr. Chair, what you might want to do is go ahead and adopt it, making it effective today, but then set a date where you would, after which you would start accepting applications. So you say it's effective today, but we're not going to start accepting applications until January 1 or something.
Yeah.
And then that way, that gives staff time to come up with those forms.
I'll modify.
Would you modify your motion
Yes,
to that? To be effective today, but we won't accept applications until January the 1st. And if you would, maybe send out the application that Swanee already has to all the commissioners and let us look at it.
Right.
Maybe in November, 1st of December, we can tweak it or accept it at that point. Okay. Any more discussion?
And of course, it has to be reviewed by the attorney.
Well, I was gonna say, I would extend that to not only commissioners, but to, Mr. Reeves, to look over just to make sure that what we have made, our revisions here, that we've redlined and added in and so forth, are, compatible to the application.
But do we need to get some input from the road department?
long as you got any.
What's your fault?
All right, can we have a motion and a second on the floor? All in favor? All opposed? Carries 5-0. Okay, item number 2 in unfinished business, Mr. Rick Anderson, if you would, give us a heads up on the roof and the leaks that I seem to be still plagued with at the Ag Center.
Don't have a tremendous amount to report. Last time I was in front of you, it is a pleasure to be in front of you. Last time I was here, I showed you pictures of the roof and the gutter system and that kind of thing. I was out at the chamber and at the soil and water after that at one time, and there were some other leaks that appeared to happen. They appeared very much towards the front of the building, not at the rear where we had some other significant leaks. So they were a little bit different. I went up on the roof and looked at the gutters, and the gutters were full of leaves from that great big sycamore tree that's there. What I am not confident in is that the gutters are sufficient. They certainly aren't sufficient when they are full of leaves and completely blocked up. I'm going to speak with Ben Ewing, who did the roof and put the gutters on there too, if we can modify the gutters. But I cleaned the gutters at that time and make sure that there wasn't anything in there, so if it rained again, we wouldn't have that same issue. Don't know that we had issues, and then I haven't got the phone call saying that since that time we had the issues. I did go out either Monday or Tuesday of this week, knowing that we had a storm coming, and looked at the gutters again, and there were quite a few leaves in it again, and I cleared them out again. What I don't know is if we had leaks at this time since that little bit of rain that we had. The other thing that I know is once we do have a leak and things come in, it takes quite a while for it to get through that 3 layers of roof and actually quit leaking. It drips for a long time. So that's where I know it to stand at the moment. Part of the issue is to keep the gutters cleaned out at the front. I have walked inside the main building after a rain, after the new roof and the gutters, and there was no water in there at that time. I'm very familiar with the spots where it was coming in and looked at all those, and they were dry. So didn't have any issues with that. But again, keep going out there and keep looking at it. And that's my status as I know today. Do I know if it rained in the last couple of days because of the rain that we've had? I haven't heard about it. I know it's been a concern. Haven't had any towards the back of the building, which was generated by the arena. I think it's maybe coming from the front. And again, with 3 layers of roof, being able to tell where the water comes from is the struggle for everybody involved, from the architect and the roofer and quite a few people that know roofs. Right. And it's just, we'll go back a little bit. We didn't have the money to tear everything off and start new when that roof was put on. Flat roofs are problematic. To change from a flat roof to one with pitch on it, or a significant pitch, cost a lot of money. We didn't have that then. If we wanted to change that, that would be a great fix for it now, but we're talking about a lot of money if we were going to do that. And I'd like to make sure that it's really not leaves in the gutters that are causing water to back up and go places where they really weren't designed to go. So, do we have any other questions or concerns about that?
I wanted to, while we have Ms. Swanson here, bring her up a little bit. What we've asked is for your office, if in fact you see a leak or have a leak, call Mr. Anderson so he can go when it's leaking, not after the fact.
Right.
You know, and the chamber's paying rent there, and they're beginning to be a little
problematic.
Yeah, I don't blame them. You know, when they're paying rent for a leaking roof.
I don't mind either. Garrett's got my number. Before we leave today, I'll make sure you get my card, and we'll do that. But, and as I told Garrett, I said, if we get any rain from this storm, I'll be in the building when it's raining, and try and figure out where it's coming from.
Kind of hard to figure it out after the fact.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's not easy when it happens.
We had several rains yesterday, but, you know, they hit and miss, and some were hard and some were just sprinkled, but I was just wondering how. But we really don't know what happened last night.
Light rains have typically not caused an issue. Okay. We went for a lot of months in the summer, months where we didn't have any issues at all.
Yeah.
The only leaks was rain.
Kind of works that way.
Do you have any more questions, or Mr. Anderson?
Will it help if we put a cover over the gutter?
I don't think so at the moment. Part of the issue with the design of the gutter, and it's very typical of gutter design for a commercial building, is it comes down off the roof and goes into the gutter, and the outside edge is a little bit taller, sticks up above the roof. What we have when the gutters back up is that's now creating a little bit of a pool on top of the whole roof. So if where that gutter attaches, the rain can get up in there and do that. I haven't seen a gutter design yet where somebody could put like you could put on your house, a screen that would go over there and keep stuff from getting in the gutter. I just see all that, the wet leaves and everything creating a big dam there and making it, maybe cause it to fail a little sooner, I don't know. So, I like the idea. Part of what I'm gonna ask Ben about is, can we just, if we just took that gutter off and put one on the outside was a little bit lower, it's not gonna look as nice, the higher edge is to hide the edge of the roof. If we put a lower on there, when the gutter's still up, it'll just run out the front.
Right.
It seems reasonable to me, but.
Yeah, I've been seeing those advertised on TV, lately, and I didn't know if it would help or not, so I just thought I would throw it out.
They would work, but not with the current design that we have.
Okay.
Well, I guess my question in response to Commissioner Moore will be, does Ben know of any new design that has been created for commercial gutters that are similar to that, since that seems to be the new fad? I'm like him, I think I see those commercials every 15 minutes about the leaf gutter, but I understand what you're talking about because of the high rise, but I just wondered if somebody could come up with some design.
Yeah. Ben and I talk quite a bit.
Oh, I'm sure.
He really doesn't like my phone calls.
That's all right.
Not too many builders around do like to get a phone call from me, but that's a whole different story.
Anyone have anything else for Mr. Anderson? Just keep us updated.
You bet. We'll
Thank
do
you.
that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
All right. Moving to item number 3 in unfinished business. This is going to be the solid waste, correction on the bid on the side-by-side for the Kubota.
Yes. Unfortunately, the quote that was presented last time, they quoted the wrong model of the machine that solid waste was actually requesting. They quoted the 2-seater instead of the 4-seater. And again, this is what's going to be used for litter control and stuff like that on the highway. And so once we discovered that, it's actually an increase. So just to refresh your memory, what you approved last time was the purchase price of $13,926.65. The actual machine that Solid Waste had requested and is wishing to purchase is actually $15,587.75, which represents an increase of $1,661.10. And it's still from Gordon Tractor, and it's still the state contract pricing. It's just this is the correct model that they thought they were purchasing instead of the other price.
So just changing from the 2-seater.
So we're just requesting
Two-seater to
to
4-seater.
the purchase for $15,587.75.
We have Mr. Blair here, if anybody's got any questions of him before we take action.
That still falls within your budget?
Budget.
Yes. Motion to
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
Motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Davis to approve. All in favor? All opposed? Carries 5-0. Okay, moving on, we have, nothing listed on Public Works unless, Mr. Lonnie has anything for the board.
I don't have anything, Chair.
Okay. And Lonnie's on vacation and showed up for the meeting, so, that probably deserves some recognition. When he turns red, he can do that. Moving to our new business section, we have Mr. David Haight here from Atkins, and Ryan Asmus.
Yes, sir.
Here, they're going to bring us an update on the MCORS program. Mr. David, you have the floor, sir.
Commissioners, just because I'm on the agenda, I'll introduce Ryan, and he's going to give you the briefing that DOT has prepared for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank y'all for this opportunity to be able to present to you today. Again, Ryan Asmus, I work for FDOT, and I serve as the Suncoast Production Lead. Mr. David Haight and myself are here to provide that update and to answer any questions that you all may have. October 20th was our task force meeting number 9, and during that task force meeting, our task force members finalized the draft report, and it is now ready to be submitted to central office or to our governor and the legislature, and that should be happening today. This report represents 15 months of hard work and dedication by the 41 members of the task force, including Ms. Sherilyn Pickles, who helped us in many ways and was an active task force member, and did a great job. So we appreciate all the hard work and the support that you gave us. The final report includes the guiding principles that were developed for planning a corridor, for moving the corridor forward. It included 13 guiding principles that reflect the priorities of the Suncoast study area, including protection of our area's precious natural resources and enhancing rural character. The task force report also includes action plans for how we're going to carry those recommendations as guiding principles forward, how the department's going to commit to do that in the next steps. Again, the report is supposed to be submitted today to the governor and the Speaker of the House, Speaker of the Florida House, and the President of the Florida Senate our date was by November 15th, but that's today. Public engagement was a crucial component of the program. Since the kickoff back in August of last year, we held over 45 presentations to local officials and to just local stakeholders and interested parties. As we move forward into the next phases, the planning phases, that level of commitment, that level of public engagement is going to remain the same. We're committed to be able to come before anybody who is interested and share information about the program and share information about where we are in the process. And at any time, if there's comments that folks would like to make, the website is available. Please feel free to go to that website and share your comments. You can also email me directly, or Mr. David Haight, email us directly, or if you prefer to use traditional mail, you can do that too. We're happy to receive all the input that we've gotten. So again, our purpose today was just to provide an update on where we are in the process and then the next steps moving forward. So the next steps are going to be to develop the alternative corridor evaluation, which is where we start to develop corridors that are, in essence, lines on a map. And that process for us will take probably about 6 to 8 months. When I say lines on a map, it's not going to be a narrowed specific line. It's going to be more of a swath. So it'll be about somewhere around the neighborhood of 2.5 miles wide. But at every milestone and production phase, we're going to be bringing that back to the communities for you all to see and provide input to. So again, that process will probably take about 6 to 8 months, and we'll be sharing that information with you as we move forward. And that's really all we had today. We just wanted to share with y'all where we're at, and again, thank Ms. Sherilyn Pickles for her involvement in the task force.
One thing, and this is leaning more to pre-existing right-of-ways rather than blazing a new trail.
Yes, sir. One of the guiding principles is the idea of co-location, which is that road within a road. And that guides us to looking at existing facilities first. And that's going to be one of the first steps as we develop those alternative corridor evaluation reports.
I know that was one of the big things that we heard was splitting properties and farms and those type things. And that was a big concern when that was kind of taken care of.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have any more questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So thank you for your presentation. At the end of this evaluation period, will we have a designation form?
So at the end of the alternative corridor evaluation report, the ACER report, what we'll have is we'll have a defined path course, which again it'll be one alignment that we're moving forward, or one path course that we're moving forward, but it's going to be fairly wide. The next steps are when we go into the project development and environmental studies, and that's when there's a lot more environmental resource studies, cultural resource studies, natural resource studies that are done to really define a specific line. And again, the same steps with public engagement. We will be bringing all that back to you all and back to the communities as we develop those specific alignments. So that'll be the next phase, is when you're looking at like an actual alignment for the center line of the roadway.
Good. Okay. We look forward to that.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions or comments?
I guess my only question was there, we haven't got to the point where we have an idea of where it's gonna probably come to I-10 as far as
The,
the 3 or 4
no, sir.
possible.
This is just, we're still the same board, yes, sir.
Any more questions, comments? Mr. Ryan, thank you for your
Yes, sir.
presentation.
Thank you. Thank
We
you.
look forward to hearing from you in the
Yes.
future.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving to item number 2. This is going to be Mr. Billy Washington, possible change in procedure for board approving of county written checks.
One of the reasons your packet was as large as it was today is because I included all the checks that we've written from, October 1 to, I don't remember the date, but anyways, all the checks have been written prior to this meeting. And, so the way we normally do this is we write checks, stamp the chairman's name, I sign, the chairman comes in, initials. I'm trying to save that step so it's a little bit quicker on the back end of things. We can get these scanned in. It's just to have every meeting, I'm just gonna put all the checks we've written from the prior date to that date. So that way y'all can approve them right here in the meeting instead. Also it provides that level of transparency to the general public. They can see all the checks we've written. If anybody ever has a question, they can call me or call one of you guys and ask, why we write a check to whatever in this amount.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah.
So what I would need is approval of the checks so far. So it's just every meeting, y'all will just approve it. What my hope is that you guys could include it on the consent agenda going forward.
Okay.
So I would need approval today.
So today, we need a motion to approve the checks written thus far.
Second.
Before we, go on, yes, Bobby?
I just have a question. Does that include the TDC checks too, or is that separate?
It's every fund that we write checks from. If we write them out of my office, they'll be in here.
Okay, we have a motion back from Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Moore to approve those checks, and today. And you want to include the motion to, the procedure to
Yeah,
put it on consent agenda for the future?
I would.
Okay, that be your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 5-0. Okay. Item number 3 is, discussion regarding employee appreciation, and I'm going to turn this over to Shirley.
Yes, Commissioners, each year, the board likes to do something to show their appreciation for the board employees. In the past, we've done things like cookouts. Last year, it was an extra day off around the Christmas holidays. After speaking with the department heads, who in turn spoke with their staff, consensus was a lot of people were uncomfortable with the thought of a large gathering where we were all gathered together to eat, especially in light of COVID. We felt that the worst thing that could happen was for all of us to wind up quarantined and not be able to do our job. Everybody really enjoyed and really appreciated having that extra day off last year around the holidays. I know there were quite a few people that actually, because of that, they were able to travel and see some family. May not travel this year, but consensus was the extra day off would be greatly appreciated. And so that's my request today, is that you would consider granting Wednesday, December 23rd as an additional day off for staff for employee appreciation.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Kelly to approve.
How would the solid waste department?
The solid waste and fire rescue are gonna be a little different because their people don't work traditional 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. They would be granted the hours of leave that they could use whenever they could take the time off. It would be personal holiday, treated as personal 8 hours of leave. I've spoken with the fire chief and I've spoken with Mr. Blair, and they both tell me that they feel that they can do that with staff that they have, that they can rotate it out where everybody would be able to take advantage of 8 hours of leave
At their discretion.
at their discretion, yes.
Prior to December 31st. And Sherlin was talking about this, we wanted to bring it up earlier so staff can make plans in case, if they want to travel. They know it ahead of time rather than the week of, so then if this is approved by the board, then the department heads can let their people know so they can make their plans.
Not only that, but by doing it this early, it also gives the fire rescue staff and the solid waste staff more time. So if there's somebody who wants to take advantage of it now, or even say around Thanksgiving, they would be able to go ahead and do that because they have so many staff that they're gonna have to kind of rotate through to make sure everybody has an opportunity.
Any more discussion?
I guess my question would have been, is realistically, the solid waste centers, Clay, are gonna be closed the 23rd, 24th, and 25th? Or will the solid waste centers be open on the 23rd?
They're gonna be open.
Okay, that was my,
Yeah.
because I know they're part-time employees, and, but I would hope that, you know, if the other employees are getting a personal holiday off, it would be a cost for the board, but, you know, some way of possibly compensating them for that.
Right, so the ones who work the centers are actually, it's kind of a funny term, they're full-time, part-time. They're part-time hours, but they're basically full-time staff, and they're the ones designated for that center. And so they would be treated, they're the ones I was talking about, they're gonna be treated like fire rescues.
Okay.
Because the centers, because the way they close and the way they're open, we're not closing them down for 3 days during the Christmas holidays or anything like that. So they wouldn't necessarily be able to take advantage of specifically December 23rd. That's why they would be open to rotating around and being able to take another day.
Okay. And doing it early enough that gives us a longer time for them to, so it doesn't, everybody just jump in there at the same time. And you think you can handle that, Mr. Blair? Okay, thank you. Any more?
I just want to say that those are probably our busiest days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
And
this,
the days after Christmas too.
Yeah.
this will give and this lets the staff and employees know it's a thank you, because, this year with COVID has been a challenge for every department and every area, and everybody has just stepped up and done above and beyond, and this is just a thing that the board can extend their appreciation with. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? 5-0. Carries. And we do appreciate the employees. Item number 4, this is discussion, the flooring in the courthouse annex. I'm going to, Commissioner Martin has asked this to be put on.
Yeah, and I guess everybody, the board had time to kind of look at it and see what shape it's in. What I was hoping that we could do is allow staff to bid it out, to get some prices on replacing, the flooring in the hallways and in the bathrooms. And if we could get a bid on maybe some type of commercial tile and carpet in the building, then we can decide at some point which one we want to do.
I will say this, Shirley and I went over to get a chance to go over to the Methodist church in the kitchen area. They just put down a commercial grade, laminate floor, vinyl laminate, but, waterproof, and it has Shirley, this, commercial, it's a 10-year warranty, if I recall, and, very nice, and it has a texture, so we wouldn't get into the slick tile, wet floor type thing, but, we were just needing to go forward to what the board wanted, and you're talking about the common areas, which would be the hallways, top and bottom, and the bathrooms, and then I'd like to see probably the common areas in front of Lisa's counter and in front of Lee's counter, where the people are there standing at the counter when we're doing it.
Right, it is a heavy traffic area.
Sure.
And when you open the door, it's probably the first thing people look at, the floor.
Sure.
So
Sure.
we need to do something.
So, do we need a motion to
That'd be
move
my
forward to allow staff to go ahead and reach out and get some bids and quotes? Motion made by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think y'all are instructing staff to get quotes where you can figure out the
Yes.
the price range. We're not going through a formal bid process yet. Is that right, or is that wrong?
What, do you want to put it up for RFP?
And my only question is, you might want to get some quotes on carpet versus tile versus this versus that, and that'll give you kind of your bid specs on where you want to go before we get engaged in a formal bid process.
That's the way we do it.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0. Item number 6, is a discussion regarding the employee, restrooms in the annex. We've discussed this, back and forth a few times, and one of our biggest, concerns was the ADA compliance if we made the bathrooms upstairs, employee bathrooms, and we've gotten, information and we get some clarity from Mr. Anderson that, in fact, we would be in ADA compliance if we put, coded or keyed or whatever type, locks that the, county manager decides to put on, but we would be within compliance if we lock those bathrooms and make those employee only.
Yes, according to the code, it can't be more than a floor away. So with us just being a 2-story building, it's not more than a floor away. We would fall within that parameter.
The bottom restroom area would be public restrooms, and, the top would be, locked for employee use only.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, discussion, excuse me.
I think we need to put up some signage also, since it's in order to be an ADA compliance, is that my understanding? Because if you look at the office doors here, they all got braille on them.
And actually, there are little signs outside of the restrooms that you have that already on there. And so we would just leave those on there. What we would probably do is change the signage upstairs to just add a sign that says employees only.
Okay.
Probably say public restrooms on the first floor.
Yeah.
Add that.
Right.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries 5-0. That brings us up to item number 6. This is a CARES Act update. We have, in front of you at your desk, the last round, or latest round of small business assistance. And I'm going to ask, the DSI reps to come forward and give us a summary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Rainey's going to share a little update on our last round, round 2B, we're calling it.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Erica mentioned, we are currently in round 2B, so we had a total of 58 applications that were received. Of those 58, 24 were eligible, 34 were deemed ineligible based on lack of information or basically inappropriate application. We had a total of $81,656.42 expended for the 2B round, which will be a total allocation of $307,165.42, which is $7,000, $165 over our allocation for the Small Business Assistance Grant of $300,000. So, basically, our recommendation for the round 2B will be to approve the funds for the $81,656.54 for 2B now.
So, to revisit, we have more requests than we had approved funds. You had originally, the Board of County Commissioners had approved $300,000 towards small business assistance. That leaves us an excess in request of $7,165.42. It is recommended that you consider increasing that before we make the recommendation to fund fully. So I turn it over to you.
You've heard that. We have allocated initially an expenditure of $300,000 for small business assistance. And, we're at $307,165, so it's $7,165.42 above what we had allocated.
My question is, how much do we have, Mr. Chairman? How much do we have total?
This this would be the 7,000, we would be expended all of our money. Correct, Billy, am I correct on this?
Yes, sir. So the last meeting, one of the things you guys did was took whatever was left over and allocated it towards DSI. You could pull this back from that allocation, and that way it would be there.
If your question is, do you have existing funds? So phase 1 and phase 2 funds, have been allocated, and we submitted a spend plan on behalf of that. What we had recommended, at the last meeting was that this group of applicants be funded through phase 3, which you would have sufficient funds, to cover this cost, if you so choose.
But we can approve up to the 300 and then put the others, the 7,000 into phase 3, is that what it?
All of this request for the $81,656.54 would be shifted to phase 3.
For phase 3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we had on.
Yes.
Erica, how many more applications are you still working with people on as far as documentation?
So, the pending documents we have now is currently about 24 applicants. We went ahead and deemed 8 ineligible just due to applicants withdrawing or not wanting to return the documentation. So, I would say 24 would be a good number of pending applicants.
Just to take that into consideration when you're talking about, just don't look at it as the 7,000 in access, there might be more coming to be approved.
So the question was, then would be a process question, because our understanding with this was you were going to run 2 rounds, which would mean that you would have to approve a 3rd round for consideration of existing 24. Brandon can speak better to the likelihood that the 24 businesses, they've been given at least...
Yeah, at least a week and a half. And with reviewing the applications, if we have to ask more than 3 times, we pretty much move on to the next one. If they decide to bring the documentation, and great. If not, we don't want to continue to waste time on reviewing applications when we need to move on with the process. So I just did the math of those 24 applicants. If you cut it about in half, it'll be about an extra $60,000 maybe that will be expended for the small business assistance grant, and that's applying into the maximum grant of $5,000.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So I guess your recommendation would be to approve these 24, but put them in phase 3? Is that?
So again, all of these are in phase 3.
They are in
You're all
Yeah.
in phase 3.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And any subsequent ones, if you chose to authorize us to continue to work with the 24 pending, those would also be in phase 3 funds.
Any idea, Billy, when that we'll get our additional monies released based on what we've already, the plan that we've already submitted?
But we haven't gotten the 2nd round of money released yet. So I keep getting calls from people we've approved who are saying, where's my money? I don't have an answer to that either. I haven't gotten that $640,000 or whatever it was. That hasn't been released yet, as of this morning.
So we did check in with the state, and they said it was in the disbursement office's hands, and it was likely by the end of this week, although they told us last week that you would have it. And then for these phase 3 funds, to be clear about the process, it is a reimbursement request, so you won't receive an advance like you have in the previous 2 phases. And those typically, we can submit requests for reimbursements up to December 3rd. And those, they're saying with the processing time for requests for reimbursements is 10 to 15 days. But as you know, there's many other counties in the state that are doing the same thing that we are doing here in Madison County. So I just give you as context of what we've been told.
So, any more questions, or do we move forward? We'll have a motion to move forward and accept these. Yes, sir.
If I may, please,
Yes, sir.
on that, sure. We were able, I think I talked to a couple of commissioners as well, we were able to find vendors to get the followers, and then I'm a little confused.
made it all happen before the 16th. It's been delivered, it's in use, and it's been paid for. So, I'm kind of like what Billy's, you know, I don't know when we're gonna get paid for it, and we're gonna get reimbursed for it, but all proof of payments, invoices, whole 9 yards been forwarded to DSI, and, so that's taken care of as far as yours.
Good, very good.
Good.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Having worked for the state for 30 years, I think 10 to 15 days for the state is a little pie in the sky, but maybe I'm being pessimistic. 30 years of pessimism.
Now, a quick question, this 81,000 moves is in phase 3, then that would be where we would have to cut those checks and ask for reimbursement? They have to be paid out of our.
Right, so you would have to find resources within your budget to do that.
We can do it.
You
knew I was looking at you next.
Yeah. My question was, do we have the reserves to pay that?
We do. So you guys remember just a couple of months ago, we did that the sales tax
Yeah.
distribution back there. So, I mean, there's money available there to do this kind of stuff exactly. Without dipping into reserves. I mean, that went to the reserves, but I mean, it's money that was not expected really. I mean.
Right.
All right. What say the board? Do I hear a motion to approve these, small business?
That'll be my motion.
Motion by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Martin. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay.
One other clarification there, we would like to have some guidance on the remaining applicants.
24.
Do you wish us to continue to work with them, or do we want to close out the SBA grant process?
How long has these applications been in? How long have you been working on them?
So, even through round 1, a lot of the applicants have been rolled over to round 2. So it's pretty much been since the first board meeting that we approved the initial round. The round 2 individuals, I'll say, since October 28th, when we had the round 2A approved, there have been applications, documentations coming in since then. So, I mean, they've had ample time, but the whole point is to get the money out to the small businesses. So
Sure, absolutely.
I would say if we would not accept any more applications and maybe give more time to review or get the documentation in for the individuals now, that way, we won't be receiving anything new, and we'll just be able to stay on the individuals that already have submitted the application.
So the last round 2B, they probably had a week or so to respond to requests. So
Are we still accepting applications at this point? I thought we had a cutoff.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so
Won't we, don't accept more applications, maybe give them another couple of weeks on the ones that's left over?
I think we need to give them an opportunity, but not accept any more.
No, I wouldn't accept any more, but I would, my first original thought when she asked the question was, maybe 10 days, 2 weeks, but no more. I think, December the 1st is gonna be here in 2 weeks, and, well, I assume we're still on the December 30 complete deadline as far as.
for delivery of goods and or services.
And actually, all the requests for reimbursements would be due in
December
by
3rd.
December 3rd.
But we can do projections if you have expended and if you're pending payment. We can do projections, especially for payroll, for example, if you wanted to.
Well, do we want to set December 3rd as opposed to 2 weeks? I said 10 days, 2 weeks, just as a throwout, but do we want?
Martin's made the motion.
Commissioner Martin, do you want?
They've got to get something to Tallahassee on the 3rd, so they've got to have.
Well, then let's say, the 1st is actually on the weekend.
The 3rd is the Thursday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
November 30th is that Monday.
If you give us, what time frame do you guys?
So we would suggest that the 24th would give us, November 24th deadline would give us sufficient time.
That's 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks, okay.
Your motion to the 24th.
To the 24th, and not to accept no more applications.
Okay.
That'll be my motion.
And we want to work on these that you have till the 24th, at that time. Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Very much.
end of our new business. At this point, we're going to move to the attorney. Mr. Gray, do you have anything to come to the board?
No, sir, not unless you have questions.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. As for the swearing-in ceremony, I received a letter from the, Department of State, and I think it said something about having the paperwork in by the 17th of November.
The new terms, for county commissioners begin November 17th. And so what you need to do, the paperwork all needs to be completed at the latest on the 17th. Now, that is that's the day of the term, and the important part is getting the paperwork filled out. Now, an actual swearing-in ceremony, like where we bring the judge to swear you in, that's just a ceremony. If that doesn't happen, you're still a county commissioner. But you need to get that paperwork filled out. Like I said, the first day of the new term is the 17th, so that's when it needs to be done, no later than that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for the attorney? Mr. Billy, do you have anything from the clerk's office?
Yes, sir, I do. Okay, so the email out to you guys was a memo from the school board that outlines the things the school board would like, CARES Act reimbursement for. They haven't, I don't believe they've ordered this stuff, but this is just their list. And if you guys want me to tell them to order, and we'll put them in for reimbursement, and that way it's on their dime and not our dime, I can do that. Or, I mean, we can probably get Ms. Joseph to come and speak to you guys at a board meeting, or she can call you guys directly, however y'all want to do that.
I think we're into phase 3. The process would be for them to purchase, and we would be a pass-through. We would send the information to Tallahassee, to DSI in Tallahassee, and when we reimburse, we would pass it back. Is the way I understand it. We don't have to do
That's floated 10 to 15 days.
Sure.
Supposedly. I have one other thing too. I was gonna look at the cost that the county has incurred over the past year or two, not this year, obviously, but the past 2 years probably, for, things where we've had to hire professionals to come in and do just regular maintenance things that can be done by a maintenance person, not, installing, electrical breakers or something like that, but changing bulbs, things like that. Sometimes we end up having to call, professionals in to do things like that, and see what that cost has been, and bring it back to see, could we hire a maintenance person that made sense? I mean, are we paying enough in professionals' labor that we could have somebody full-time that, even if we only had one person, I mean, at least they could triage what needs to be done maybe. And maybe things like the carpet out here wouldn't get to the level that it is at, because you have somebody that's here regularly cleaning and things like that. But, I just wanted to see that. If not, I'll bring back to you what it would be to try to get a, janitorial maintenance, something like that.
I think it's a good idea.
I think we're over that deal.
Because, I mean, some of you were on the board when we had a maintenance person. I don't know how well that worked.
Yeah.
I think it worked well.
Yeah.
But I don't know that, you have to look at, does it justify the cost?
And when and if we are able to get inmates back, if that person could be a certified, that would just kind of a supervisory position as well in the, maybe some inmate custodial services. Okay. Anything else, Billy?
No, sir.
Ms. Shirley?
I want to thank Commissioner Davis for your service and time serving as a commissioner in Madison County.
Yes.
I've enjoyed working with you, so thank you for your service.
Anything else, Shirley? Okay. At this time, we go into commissioners' comments. I'll start with you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly.
I echo Ms. Nichols. Commissioner Davis, it's been an honor to work with you. I've known you for many, many years, worked with you professionally in law enforcement, but it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with you on this board, and, I'm gonna miss you.
Mr. Martin.
Pretty much the same thing, and I was gonna speak to that, what Shirley and Mr. Kelly said. I wanna thank Rick for all that he has done for this board, and wish you well. We worked together before we got on the board with the fire department, you was police chief. So, I just wish you well and enjoy working with you.
Commissioner, I'm gonna go to Commissioner Moore.
Well, I just want to ditto what has been said. I probably have not known Commissioner Davis as long as some of y'all, but during your tenure on the board, we've grown to know each other. I'm not gonna say we exactly think alike all the time, but it's been a pleasure working with you, and, wish you well.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, just been an honor and pleasure to work with y'all. I would make a few, if I can, on a parting note, a few recommendations as far as some of the responsibilities. I don't want to, put Commissioner Waldrop on the spot, but, you know, I've been very, very active in getting going and working with other counties on the River Task Force. I think we've been very successful in a lot of things we've been able to accomplish. But I also know that just through, watching and hearing going on, that Commissioner Waldrop has been staying on top of that a lot as well. And if you do decide to continue on the, with the task force, I would recommend if you consider taking on that role. And, it's also the regional task force, regional planning council. That all kind of works hand in hand. So I know y'all are going to work together on kind of dividing up responsibilities and committees and assignments, and that would be my recommendation for y'all to consider. But it's been an honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. In my closing, Rick, I want to say that it's been a pleasure working with you for the 2 years. We've known each other much longer than that, and some good times and some bad times. And, but anyhow, thank you for your service to the county. I also want to once again welcome Ms. Swanson to the chamber. I look forward to working with you. And Mr. Swilling, look forward to working with you. He's already stepped out, I guess. But welcome them to the county. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think we'd probably be remiss if we didn't welcome our new incoming sheriff.
There you go.
You beat me to it. Okay. Maybe we do. Look forward to working with you.
Well, absolutely. I've always appreciated the relationship between the sheriff's office and the board. I think we've worked well together in the past, and I'm excited to see what we'll do that in the future.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Mr. Moore, do you have one more thing?
Yes, one more thing. I'm meeting, Friday with, Mr. Darabi and the landfill director. We've got some issues there concerning the construction of the new cell with the DEP. And that's what we're going to be meeting about, but we will be hopefully proceeding on to get that new cell, the construction started.
Sounds good. Hearing nothing else, I'll entertain a motion
to adjourn.